Now some people might find it difficult to walk through spaces, so walk especially through door frames, and the reasons for this could be, if you think about the way that sound changes within an environment, if it's both enclosed environments, it's likely to be easier for us to walk through. However, if we're walking from inside to outside, think how much sound changes. So when you're inside, it's enclosed and it's a lot more echoey, whereas when you go outside, the space is endless. You also have a lot of external sounds which might be impacting as well, especially spontaneous sounds. So maybe if there's maintenance work happening or really loud traffic travelling nearby. So consider that. Sometimes it can be relating to the visual, so again it might be the fact that someone's walking from a bright space to a dark space, or maybe the door frame creates that shadow which for somebody with visual processing difficulties finds it difficult to step over that line to transition into another space. Some people find difficulties with the concept of changing position and changing spaces, and this can be relating to their vestibular sense. So our vestibular sense is all about our movement and our relationship with gravity. So for someone who is receiving a lot of information from this sense, they might try and regulate themselves by reducing the amount that they have to move. So they might seem a little bit maybe reluctant to want to move, whereas actually it's because every time they stand up and when they're making that step forward, they're receiving more vestibular input, which can be overwhelming for them to then manage to regulate. Some people find transitions incredibly difficult, so it could be simply relating to that. And if we think about transitions, what it is a change in space, a change in activity, something that we're doing. And visually, for our visual learners, as we walk through a door frame, that's exactly what we're seeing happening. We're seeing a change taking place from one room to another room. Sometimes we can help by supporting with communication, so maybe we're going to prepare with pictures or photographs and give them information about what's going to be happening in that other room or in that other space, what we're going to be doing together. When we're thinking about transitions, we have to be able to support someone to feel comfortable. Transitions can cause a lot of anxiety when people aren't sure what's happening next. I know for myself, if I am not aware of what specifically I'm doing in an environment, that could become quite difficult for me. So try and prepare in advance resources for you to be able to encourage someone to be able to transition between spaces. If it's a clear sensory processing difficulty, think about the tactile sensory system as well. Maybe walking through that space. If you're very close to the door frame, that could mean that someone who's sensitive to tactile information might not want to do that because they're worried that maybe something's going to touch them or they're going to bump into something because of their uncertainty with their proprioceptive sense and the ability for them to change position within spaces. So there's many reasons why people can find walking through door frames or changing spaces very, very difficult, but hopefully some of those explanations will give you a little insight, and maybe if you can relate that to the person that you support, you'll be able to personalise it for them. So you'll be able to identify, oh actually I think maybe it's the sound because in other environments they're sensitive to sound, or maybe it is the visual, or maybe it's just that one particular space and so it's a transition of smells, okay? So you need to think about that person that you're supporting and personalise exactly for them how and why it might be that.